Gaughan Racing. If you're watching us on the YouTube, this is Jeff Motley in the studio here at the South Point. Brendan is joining us remote, and of course our wonderful graphics team behind our pit crew behind the glass has got fireworks exploding behind Brendan on the YouTube feed. And
we just found out that it's not going to play well on Sirius, Jeff, but we just found out that I can do all sorts of things when we're streaming this, and I can make fireworks. I can do, I think it's balloons, confetti. Oh, there's balloons. Yeah. I can do all sorts of fun things on the screen today. So and I know what I'm going to do when I talk about you and the pit crew this week at Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Yeah. We don't really want to talk about that. Where the heck are you? Well, you're not in the studio, where are you?
Baja. Nope, we're not. We're in Baja, but we're not standing on the side of the road this time. We're actually in the hotel, hanging out in Ensenada at the start for the Baja 400. Dr. Feldkamp is down doing his pre-running for his section. I got a little piece to do left today, and then race starts Saturday. We can actually, thanks to Starlink, we actually stream live from the race car now, Motley. So you can actually watch the whole race live from our race car. So kind of cool. I'll put a link in the Xverse or Instagram or whatever. And so if you want to watch it, you can watch the race live from the driver's seat.
So this is the Baja 400. You got a Baja 500. There's a Baja 1000. How many Baja races do we have?
There's 4. The Baja 400 is the newest one. It used to be just San Felipe 250, Baja 500, Baja 1000. Then a couple years ago, they started the Baja 400. And it's Mexican Independence Weekend. So when you want to talk about a very busy weekend down here in Ensenada, it is extremely packed.
Oh, so getting that hotel room probably wasn't very easy. So we're glad to have you situated down there in Mexico. But we're talking racing. And Brendan, there used to be this baseball player named Dave Parker. And he used to he was good all summer long. And then when September rolled around, he was the best hitter in baseball. And he used to have this saying, when the leaves turn brown, I'll be wearing the batting crown. Well, Joey Logano kind of has that same moniker, I believe, when it comes to the NASCAR playoffs. Because now we're in the playoffs. We've had one race. How many times do we see Joey Logano muddle along throughout the year, and the playoffs come up, and boom, Joey Logano becomes one of the favorites?
You know, it's funny. Last year, Joey, of course, became the first champion to get knocked out in the first round of the next year. And I think Joey had something big to prove this year. And he did, man. I mean, he went out there and did what he needed to do. But how about Penske in general? I mean, you got Penske first, third, and 10th? I mean, it was a heck of a race for the Penske guys. Austin Cindric was one of the guys that you and I both had as our first 4 out. He won stage 1, finished second in stage 2. Ryan Blaney won stage 2 and finished second in stage 1. And then Joey Logano wins the race. Penske flexing a little muscle at the playoffs.
Yeah, the Penske teams took all 3 checkered flags, if you will. So took all 3 stages if you count the final one as a stage. So huge day for the Penske guys, certainly giving them some momentum going forward in the playoffs. Looking at these numbers here, I mean, Joey Logano, of course, everybody but Ryan Blaney was a double-digit favorite. And Blaney might have won the race if he hadn't gotten caught up in an accident for the second week in a row that was not of his own making. And he still was able to get his car back together and race up to third. But Joey was 10-1. He was also plus 275 for a top 3. He was head-to-head against Denny Hamlin, but he was minus 125. No big return there. He did win Group A, much to the chagrin of the two of us. At plus 265 because we both had Blaney in Group A. And then he also brought Ford home at a plus 130. His current championship odds now sit at 14-1. But Joey Logano served notice. And I know Atlanta's a little bit of a different type racetrack, but we also know there's some other tracks similar to this. We know we've still got Talladega to go. And if you're Joey Logano, guess what? Now he's adding some bonus points on top of that. So if you're Joey, you got to love the momentum you've got going into the next round.
Boy, you got to love that. And look, if you're a bettor, we told you last week, that was the opening odds of the season. Last week, Joey was still 20-1 to win the championship, and he's gone to 12 or 14 now, whichever it was. He is still value, Jeff. You're telling me I can get Joey Logano, former champion, for a double-digit number and he's already locked himself into the next round? That to me is a huge value in that championship odds. Great way to hedge that bet. Put a little on Joey Logano. But we told you last week that I said, hey, we're not talking much about their odds, but Joey Logano is one of the few that still had a good return, and he does still, even after that win at the South Point.
Well, another guy we got to talk about this week. I mean, he probably wishes every race was at Atlanta. and that's Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez won the first race earlier this year at Atlanta that locked him into the playoffs. He came very close to winning this week. He actually ended up with a second. He was plus 400 for that top three. The rest of the top 10 were all playoff drivers except for Kyle Busch in seventh. So it was kind of a chalky type day, if you will. But I think one of the biggest winners of the whole day was Daniel Suarez, because it puts him in pretty good shape for these next two rounds, knowing that we're going to a road course this week in Watkins Glen, which is a track that he also should be very comfortable on.
Yeah, I mean, that puts him 22 points above the cut line. So, I mean, Daniel Suarez, another guy that we felt was kind of limping into the playoffs. Here he is, 22 points above the cut line. Good start for him. Going to Watkins Glen, which is another good place for him. So, I mean, Daniel Suarez looking like he might be pretty good to punch his ticket to the second round with a couple solid runs.
No, I agree. And speaking of where we are in the standings right now, let's take a look at where our cut line stands. Right now, the guy that's right on the cut line is Ty Gibbs. He is only 1 point ahead of Brad Keselowski, but I think a couple of maybe there's three names that really jump out at me right now. Two of those are above the cut line, but not by a lot. Kyle Larson is only 15 points above the cut line. Denny Hamlin is only 2 points above the cut line. Kyle Larson was in a crash very early in the race at Atlanta. I'm really not sure what happened there. And then Denny, he ran at the back all day long, was never really a factor, and then as he's trying to avoid a wreck all day long, he gets caught up in a wreck on the last lap of the race, loses a lot of positions. And then the third guy, Martin Truex Jr., second week in a row, has gotten into an early crash, and he is 19 points below the cut line.
Look, Martin's been struggling this year. I mean, he pointed his way in, but is definitely not the Martin Truex Jr. we're used to seeing the last couple of years of his career. Not looking good right now. I mean, he's pretty far out of that cut line. And Denny Hamlin, 2 points. I mean, that's tight. Kyle Larson, he's looking to do what happened to Martin Truex last year. Remember all them bonus points Martin had added up, and he had an abysmal first round, but was able to still get through because of bonus points. So now he's trying to pull, hope for that. You and I were talking, how about the fact that he'd have an extra 15 bonus points that he made it to Charlotte? So, missing that regular season championship by 1 point. Look, you said it. Anything can happen at Watkins Glen, and anything can happen at Bristol. So, man, this could be an interesting. Kyle Larson has put himself close to the line, probably more close than he's really comfortable.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the two things we have to think about when it comes to Watkins Glen and talking about Bristol. Watkins Glen, for example, there could be 2 laps to go. You can be running third or fourth, but you end up running off the track or getting bumped off the track. You could literally lose 25 positions at the very end of the race. We've seen it happen many times. Mm-hmm. And we also know with Bristol, you could get a spin at Bristol anywhere. I mean, it can be, because it becomes that conveyor belt where everybody is running all over everybody. Lap cars, lead cars, everybody is everywhere. So anybody could make a mistake and take out 4 or 5 cars, and those could be lead lap cars. They could be 3 lap down cars. You don't know because everyone's running together. So Atlanta really was kind of the race that you really wanted to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, and some guys didn't. So it's going to be an interesting run, but great race. I think, once again, it proves the point why I told you I am retired. That race, man, whoo, boy, it is fun to watch, but I am glad I am sitting on the couch watching it. They put on one heck of a show at Atlanta. Great job to SMI and your whole crew that decided to make this. I mean, you guys have never shied away from controversy when building tracks. This one, man, it has turned out to be one heck of a deal.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I was there for the first race that we ran at Atlanta when we did the reconfiguration, and this is 6 of them that we've had down there now, and every one of them you've literally been holding your breath right on the final lap. So I agree with you. Kudos to them. We talked a little bit earlier, but the last 2 races in the first round of the playoffs, Watkins Glen, Bristol, the next 2 coming up, and then the second round of the playoffs, again, while one track, Kansas, may not be unique compared to a lot of other tracks, because we do run a lot of 1.5 mile tracks, it's a very unique group of races because we have Kansas, Talladega, and then the Charlotte Roval. So we are going to continue even all the way through the second round with a lot of diversity when it comes to the racetracks.
Yeah, Kansas may not be the unique that we had kind of in the first round, but it is also different, unique of the 3 races, right? I mean, the Roval, which you know how I feel about the word Roval. I'm sorry, I still can't do it. But Talladega, and then 3 diabolically different style races. And so it's going to put a lot of pressure on guys to have a good first run, because Kansas is, say, the most normal of those races. So it definitely is going to put a lot of pressure on some of these guys at Kansas in that start of that second round.
No, well, okay. So this week, though, we're going to be talking about Watkins Glen. So it's, I believe, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first time I can recall that we had 2 road course races in the playoffs. I don't remember having a second road, because Watkins Glen used to always be in August. So now we've got Watkins Glen and we've got the Roval. So that's certainly something I think to look at. In fact, we're going to have 2 of these races. So we go to Watkins Glen, and we talked about Kyle Larson. He is a 2-time winner at Watkins Glen. Chase Elliott's got 2 wins. Kyle Busch, non-playoff driver, also has 2 wins there. But there's several other guys, William Byron, Logano, Truex, Hamlin. Those guys all have race wins there. Some of those guys have been really successful. I mean, Kyle Busch, 13 out of 18 top 10s. Martin Truex Jr., who we just said, if anybody needs a good run this week, it's Martin Truex Jr., and he's had 11 top 10s and 17 starts and 7 top 5s. He has to have this race circled on his calendar.
One of his home tracks, Motley. One of his many home tracks. But he does do well there. But I mean, even look at the guys that don't have a ton of starts. William Byron, 5 starts, 1 win, 3 top 5s, top 10s. I mean, there's some great stats here from guys that need a good run. You know, I mean, that need to have one of these days that they get through and have a solid day. So I'm excited to see. And this is a race. Remember, you have 2 people in this race that we don't talk about most of the year. You have SVG and AJ Allmendinger going to be starting this race. 2 big wild cards to get that win from these regulars.
Well, and we also have another surprise driver, I believe. Is Juan Pablo Montoya,
JPM.
I believe, will be back. We haven't, in fact, it's funny. Sometimes when I think of Juan Pablo, I think of the little incident with, I think it was Harvick, when the 2 of them got out of the car and had a disagreement one year at Watkins Glen. So.
And it's funny, foreshadowing a little bit, JPM at the South Point to win, much different than his odds in top 3 of DraftKings.
Okay, well, that will definitely be something to look at. But I think it's going to be cool to have Juan Pablo Montoya back, also to get SVG and get that whole crew. Okay, we come back on Gaughan Racing. We'll start breaking down the odds to win this weekend's race at the Glen.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Molly here in the South Point studio. Brendan Gaughan joining us via remote with all of his background graphics that keep flying. I mean, we've got confetti flying. We've got balloons flying through the air. We got raindrops. I mean, I'm not sure. Fireworks, everything else. Brendan is joining us.
If you're listening on Sirius, you got to at least tune into the South Point Studio link, just because I'm having way too much fun with this today. I'm trying to figure out I don't want to do too many things because I don't know what hand motions will make, but I could try a few things.
Well, you are in Mexico, so I'm kind of waiting to see like flying sombreros and tequila bottles and piñatas flying in the air. So, have an enchilada or a burrito for all. Yeah, nothing came up on that one. So, anyway, so this weekend we're talking about Watkins Glen. That's where we're heading. Second race of the playoffs, second race of the first round. Brendan, before we get into the odds, I want to ask you a question. We race on a lot of different road courses: Sonoma, Coda, the Roval, different places we go around the country. Chicago street race. What makes Watkins Glen different from the other road courses that we race on?
I'm going to give you an answer, one that is going to upset you right off the start. I don't like that they added all the BS runoff. I hate that they did that to turn 1, to turn what I call 10, you call 7. I hate that they did that after the carousel. It drives me crazy that they allow these drivers to not be fundamentally sound. That being said, Watkins Glen is considered the super speedway of road courses. We talk about it all the time. The speed up through the S's, the speed into the bus stop. Didn't they change the name of that? Somebody told me, I think. I don't know.
I think they did, but we're going to call it the bus stop.
It's still the bus stop. But the speed that you get at Watkins Glen is different than most road courses. Road America maybe is the only place that has just such a brute strength top speed. But Watkins Glen used to be super technical. Now it's about super fast.
Yeah, I think Coda might be the other one that you get. You come down that back stretch at Coda. That was pretty big. But okay, well, let's get into the odds for this week, and we've got a three-headed monster as favorites. Kyle Larson, Shane Van Gisbergen, who I don't think surprises anybody to see him at the top of the list, and William Byron are all at plus 600. Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick at plus 700. And then it drops off. We get into our double-digit numbers. Christopher Bell is 12-1. A.J. Allmendinger and Ty Gibbs at 16-1. Michael McDowell, 18-1. Chris Buescher, Martin Truex Jr. at 20-1. Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez at 30. Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain at 40-1. Brendan, there's some guys who have shown themselves to be pretty good road course racers that have some pretty big numbers beside their name.
Yeah, SVG, I think you got to talk about the elephant in the room. I don't see him doing here what he did at Chicago, what he did at Coda in the Xfinity Series, what he did at those places. I see this being a little more not in his wheelhouse. Don't think I'm saying that. Not in his favor is the big advantage he had at the other places. But I do look at A.J. Allmendinger. 8 starts, 6 top 10s, 4 top 5s, 1 win. And the Dinger got himself back together a little bit. They've announced that he's going to be racing full-time again in the Cup Series next year. I think AJ's starting to feel a little bit better again. So I think AJ is a big threat, and that's a big number on a big threat.
Well, one thing I was going to ask you about AJ, we've always been high on AJ on these road courses, but it really seems like over the last couple years, he hasn't been as big a factor. And I don't know if it's been him. I don't know if it's been the car, the crew, what. But to me, Allmendinger really kind of needs to bounce back if he's going to win a race like this.
Well, like I said, I looked at his Watkins Glen stats, not his road course stats. His Watkins Glen stats have still been solid every year. His road course stuff, but look, there's a lot. Remember, AJ's always struggled with keeping his focus and doing things. This year, he had a lot of distractions. He got demoted back to full-time Xfinity. There were some things going on. If you look at how he's been running, he's starting to come back to being AJ. So I think this could be a big one here. But let's not forget, Daniel Suarez, one hell of a road course racer too, and he's sitting there with a big double-digit number to win this race. So a lot of guys have a lot of good numbers in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And one guy, and I know we talk about him, but it's just funny. His name, when you think road courses, there's a lot of those names you think of. One name that doesn't always jump out at you is Chris Buescher. But Chris Buescher is a very consistent road course racer. I mean, when you look at how many top 10s and even top 5s he gets on road courses, and you throw a 20-1 by his name, and look, Martin Truex Jr., I know he's retiring. I know he's struggling. Martin Truex Jr. is a guy you should never discount when you come to a place, especially a Watkins Glen.
You ready for a Chris Buescher stat, though? Road courses, not Watkins Glen, road courses. 10 races, 8 top 10s, best average finish in the entire field at 8.4. No wins, but the best point getter in 10 races. I don't know if I'm going to bet Chris Buescher to win, but I absolutely would like him in a top 5, or if I can find him in a good head-to-head or a good group.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's kind of that sneaky good guy out there. All right, let's take a look at our odds to finish first that are our long shots. And one of these, I'm going to tell you, Brendan, I'm sitting here just shaking my head. I might even take him just for the heck of it. But we start off with Kyle Busch is 40-1, who has had a great track record at Watkins Glen, and he's also been running very well the last few weeks. Austin Cindric and Joey Logano are both 50-1. Our buddy Juan Pablo Montoya driving the third 2311 car, teammate to Reddick and Bubba at 60-1. Todd Gilliland, Chase Briscoe, Justin Haley, Brad Keselowski, Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar at 100-1, and then our dreaded field bet of 20-1. And Brendan, before I ask you anything, Brad Keselowski has been very, very good at Watkins Glen. 100-1. Chase Briscoe even.
I think the boys in the back have kind of missed a little bit here with a Brad Keselowski and a Kyle Busch. Those are high numbers on two guys that run very, very well here. And if I go to all road course racing, Kyle Busch, your fourth best point getter. Brad Keselowski a little further down. Last 10 races, no top 10s on a road course. But his history at Watkins Glen, how well he's been running this year, both those are pretty high numbers. Worth taking a shot at one of those, honestly, because they're so high.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm like, goodness gracious. I get 5 picks, right? So if I lose one on 100-1, big deal. But
you might catch me.
If I get it right, guess who's setting the Mendoza line, buddy? Just saying.
Listen, you're just barely above your actual Mendoza line, so I wouldn't be talking too much yet.
I just want to say that if I could hit 100-1, I want to make sure that next week when you're back here in the studio that we find a way to have those raindrops in front of your face when we start talking about where I am. That's all I'm going to say.
Would that actually put you in front of me?
100-1, you're at like 82. I think that would
so
easily
you lose the rest. You'd be at like 9. You'd have me by. Oh, I also could win 3 of my 5 this week. And
I'm already.
So I'm just saying.
I'm already 10 to the good. So you got to give me my 10. I've already
10?
got
10.
Yeah, I think I'm 10.5.
That's it. What was I again? Can you say that again? What was I?
Okay, keep on talking, pal. Keep on talking, pal.
Just check it. Just check it.
Okay, let's move on to our top threes. And Kyle Larson comes in as our favorite on the top 3 board at plus 160. Then it's Byron and Van Gisbergen plus 190. Reddick and Elliott are plus 250. Allmendinger's 300. Christopher Bell at 330. Ty Gibbs, Michael McDowell, and Kyle Busch all at 350. Martin Truex Jr. 450. Montoya 650 along with Denny Hamlin. Suarez is 700. Buscher's 800. And Ross Chastain is 10-1. Brendan, let me say something real quick. If Kyle Busch is a plus 350 for a top 3, then maybe you should be betting him 40-1 to win this race.
As I said, I mean, and look at Juan Pablo is plus 650 for the top 3, but 60-1 at the South Point. This is the fun part we talk, Jeff. NASCAR fans aren't notorious for being bettors, right? So that's why we do this show. You got to shop your books around. I bet at DraftKings, Juan Pablo and Kyle Busch are not as high as we have them at the South Point. You want to go bet the South Point, not the DraftKings number. You got to hunt around on these books. But I'm looking at that. Forget about those two numbers that are disparity. How about Ty Gibbs at 350? Ty Gibbs, if you look at we don't have a lot of starts at Watkins Glen, but Ty Gibbs, 6 top 10s, 4 top 5s in the last 10 road races. And Ty, remember in the Xfinity Series, was pretty darn good. So and Ty's been running great. We've all been saying we think he's going to get a W. That looks pretty good to me, Jeff.
No, I completely agree with you there. And, the other one there, it's right there by Ty Gibbs, because I'm telling you, every road course race, we're always talking about him, is Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell is always in the mix. And he doesn't necessarily win a lot of them, but he's always typically in the mix. I agree with you. To see a plus 330 Christopher Bell and a plus 350 on Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch, I think those all kind of light your eyes up. And look, Daniel Suarez plus 700 ain't so bad either, because I kind of like him there too.
I like all those. Chase Elliott, even at 250. I like Chase Elliott, or 275. I like that a lot too. I mean, there are great numbers on that first page for top 3s that I could jump on.
All right, let's take a look at our second page of drivers here, and we've got Austin Cindric and Alex Bowman both coming in at 10-1. Joey Logano is 11-1. Ryan Blaney 12-1. Chase Briscoe 22. Todd Gilliland and Brad Keselowski each at 28-1. Noah Gragson, Bubba Wallace, Justin Haley, Eric Jones all at 30. Zane Smith, Ricky Stenhouse, Carson Hocevar, Austin Dillon all 40-1. Ryan Preece at 60-1.
Man, I certainly like the front page a lot better than the back page today. I'm looking down Ryan Blaney, 3 top 10s in the last 10 road races. I'm looking down at Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, here's the thing. He's got 9 starts in the last 10, 1 win, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s on road courses. But you go to Alex Bowman at Watkins Glen, 0 top 10s in 7 races. So not been a course that's good to Alex Bowman.
And I think it's interesting, what we talked about when we first started this segment about how Watkins Glen is a different road course than all of the other road courses. And I think it's really important that people that are going to go and they're going to decide who they want to bet on this week, that's one of the things they're doing. They're looking more at not just the road courses in general, but more the Watkins Glen, which I kind of agree with you on the SVG. And I think that's where Allmendinger's kind of maybe he's excelled here a little bit and not on the other road courses because it's one he's comfortable with. Although I do look at those numbers being pretty big on Joey Logano and on Ryan Blaney being 11-1 and 12-1. I mean that definitely would be enticing. You're talking about a double-digit number for a top 3.
And Logano six top 10s last 10 races at Watkins Glen, a 3rd to 10th last 2. So I don't dislike that. I'm not against that one.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look a little bit farther down, and there's just nobody else that really kind of jumps out there as somebody that's going to be able to get in there and sneak in, unless you get a situation where there's a pit stop strategy, which we know Watkins Glen is a big pit stop strategy race.
But once again, looking at that second page, nobody screams, go here, go here. It just seems very, very, very bland to me on that second page.
Yeah, I think it'd be curious to see how, guys like maybe Gilliland or Keselowski, but yeah, who knows? We'll see. So, all right, we come back on Gaughan Racing. We'll get into our driver head-to-head matchups and get into our favorites, the group matchups.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style Paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome back to Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley here in the South Point studio in beautiful and a little bit smoky Las Vegas. A little smoky air out here with some local forest fires going on. And Brendan Gaughan joining us from Mexico, Ensenada, down there getting ready for the Baja 400 this weekend. Are you driving the whole 400 miles, or you just drive part and navigate part? And who else with you?
I don't know. I don't ride. No riding.
No ride.
Riding's for real men. I am not a real man. I gave that title up when I was like 17. I do half the race. I split it with my old buddy, Dr. Feldkamp, and Dr. Buddy drives with me, and his dad's down here with him, and his dad shows up to him, and everybody goes, "Where's your dad?" I go, "His daddy likes him a lot better than my daddy." So I'm here. He's got his dad here. Me, I'm just hanging out.
And does our old buddy Montez have to sit over there on the other side and navigate the whole race for both of you guys?
Montez is the one that sits next to me. Yep, Montez sits next to me. This week, at the Baja 500, I had Montez's grandson and my son ride the last 50, 80 miles of the race. Today, the guy that owns Collins Motorsports, Robbie Gerke, his 14-year-old daughter, Brenna, will be riding the last 50 miles in the race with me. So I have she's the other little the terrible threesome that are all the race kids that race together. So she's going to do the last 50 miles of the Baja 400 with me. Because Jeff, she can miss school. You know why? Her teacher is on our chase crew, and her teacher gives her independent study, and it counts for being at school while she's here.
A homeschooling in a dune buggy. Okay, that's great. All right, we get the thumbs down signal. Okay. All right, that's enough talking about buggies flying through the desert of
let's go back to what we need to do.
Of Baja California. Know what it's called? Baja California, right? That's what it's called.
Baja California.
I thought so. All right, so we're getting into our driver head-to-heads right now. And, we don't usually go through them each individually. There's some big numbers. We got some guys with some plus 120s on them. Anything jump out at you?
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, here's the deal. Ty Gibbs, I'm pretty high on, and you're giving me a plus 125. I know it's against Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick is the one he's against, but I like that number. I'm high on Ty right now. He's plus 125. It's hard to say Chase Elliott versus Kyle Larson or SVG versus Kyle Larson, stuff like that. But I do like a Chase Elliott 105 to SVG's minus 125. And I kind of like that Dinger 120 at C-Bell. There's a few that I do like.
Yeah, I'm a little bit – I don't really want to go against C-Bell, I don't think, here. But the one that jumped out at me, and you and I both are thinking on the same page there, the Chase Elliott plus 105. I'm kind of going back, and I know we've kind of harped on this, but you talked about how Watkins Glen is a different type of road course. Chase Elliott has had great success here, and I don't believe Watkins Glen is a kind of road course that you just run for the first time or for the second time, and it just falls into your lap. And I think this is going to be a course, I agree with you, that SVG may struggle a little bit on, and so I really kind of like the Chase Elliott plus 105.
Let's rephrase struggle, though. Struggle, I think he's still going to be in the top 10. But he's just not going to be what we saw at Chicago or some of these more aggressive road courses that are with. If you lack the runoff again, SVG would be one of my favorites. But with that 40-acre field after turn 1, the 40-acre field after the carousel after turn 10, it doesn't make it where it's in his advantage.
It's really what makes him so good at Chicago, because there is no runoff. If you run off at Chicago, okay, you may not destroy your car, but guess what? You are going to lose 25 positions. You can run off.
You're going to get lunch. Well, you're going to end up in a restaurant for lunch.
Well, you're going to have a tire in the middle of your windshield probably. So
yeah.
All right, let's move along to our group matchups, and we're going to kick it off here at Group A. And pretty good numbers, I think, here for Group A. Kyle Larson's a favorite at plus 240. Van Gisbergen and Byron are both plus 270, and Chase Elliott at plus 295. I kind of like the fact we have a favorite in Group A that's plus 240.
Yeah, well, I like the 240 Kyle Larson. I like the 295 of Chase Elliott. I'm looking at top and bottom there. William Byron, I don't dislike Byron, but he's got one win, 3 top 10s here. He's fantastic. But if I'm going to look at Group A, I'm going to look at the top and bottom and say, I kind of like Chase at 295. It's enticing, but I also like Kyle Larson at 240. After what happened last week, I think he's going to come in and try to, make a point to say, hey, I'm fine. I'm not going to be sweating out the last round. So I like top and bottom here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I probably lean a little bit toward Larson here. I know his odds are not quite as good as Chase Elliott's, but I'm with you. Look, Kyle Larson, when he gets focused in and gets his back against the wall a little bit, Kyle Larson's pretty tough. If you're Elliott, you're feeling pretty good about where you are in the points. I mean, Elliott just don't get in trouble. I think Larson probably has a little bit of nervousness because, he was, 40-some points in the lead before last week, and now he's only 15 points above the cut line. I think that's going to really focus him in this week.
Did you just say you think Kyle Larson's nervous, though?
No, I don't mean nervous about racing, but I mean Kyle Larson, I think, knows that.
I think Kyle Larson is pissed off and wants to make sure that Mr. H doesn't throw a shoe at him for having 2 bad races. I think he's going to perform.
Well, but he's not used to seeing the cutoff line being closer than the top line, is what I'm saying. And that's not something he's used to seeing. So it's a little bit of a different vantage point for him, if you will.
All right.
All right, let's move along to our Group B here, where Tyler Reddick is pretty much an overwhelming favorite here at plus 210. Christopher Bell is plus 265. Ty Gibbs, there's your guy. Ty Gibbs, plus 295, a good number. And then A.J. Allmendinger is the long shot here, big number, plus 320.
God, I like every single guy in this group, Jeff. This has got to be my X group for the week because even the A.J. Allmendinger 320 enticement, I like Ty Gibbs. I like C-Bell. I think I like Reddick. I don't know if he's a 210 favorite in this group. So, I think that maybe they overestimate him a little bit, but I like all these guys. I got to put the X up on this one. I can't break it down.
I don't disagree with you here. It's almost like when I look at these numbers and I think about the numbers we had in Group A, and I honestly think the numbers in Group A would probably match up well here in Group B. I think that disparity is huge. Maybe that is one of the reasons why a Ty Gibbs or Allmendinger might be somewhat enticing, because you're getting a really big number on two guys that I don't think are that far below Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick. I'm with you. I think I'm going to stay away from this group this week, but I do believe that they put enticement on Ty Gibbs and on A.J. Allmendinger in this group. All right, let's look along.
It's there.
Yep, let's look along to our Group C now. Michael McDowell comes in as our favorite here at plus 230. Chris Buescher's plus 250, Martin Truex Jr. plus 270, and Denny Hamlin is plus 335.
Okay. What do we always say when you get a guy of Denny Hamlin's caliber that's all the way down in one of these lower groups, Jeff? It's really hard not to take that. Here's the deal. Martin Truex Jr., I'm not a believer right now. I'm taking it, even though it's I know what we talked about his stats here. What you always have that famous statement on Gaughan Racin. What have you done for me lately? And Marty has not done anything for us lately. So, okay, Chris Buescher, top 10 king, right? Guy's got 10 races, 8 top 10s, last 10 road courses. Michael McDowell, he's that road racer that does great at times. But Denny Hamlin at Watkins Glen, 5 top 5s and a win in the last 10 races. And you've got him at plus 335. And you got Denny Hamlin staring at a cutoff line. And the only thing that I could say negative about Denny Hamlin here is how focused is he with this whole charter thing, and how much pressure does he feel being the odd man out in the charter, and Jordan is their pressure, blah blah blah. But and it is the playoffs. We've had a comment about Denny for a few years about the playoffs, but 335 Group C, I think I'm going to have to jump on it. Yeah,
I'm totally with you there, because I'm with you. I mean, he's the guy to me that's been the most consistent of all 4 of these guys. And I think Denny does a pretty good job of compartmentalizing the business side from the racing side for the most part. I mean, I think he's got a guy that really is the guy doing all the negotiating on behalf of that team. I think it's just up to he and Michael to decide when they're going to put a signature down on it. So now maybe his car might have a little more trouble getting through tech. I don't know. That was always the funny joke, right? Obviously I think we know that's not the case anymore, the way things are set up. But I agree with you. Denny at 335 here. How do you not take that one? Because he should be the favorite in this group, and you're going to give me plus 335. That doesn't mean he's a shoe-in to win it, but I'm with you. I really like Denny in that group. All right, moving along to Group D, and this, you talking about a tightly packed group right here. Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain are both plus 265. Then Kyle Busch and Austin Cindric are at plus 270. This might be my X group here. I'm not sure.
Listen, I'm looking at, all right, let me give you this. Ross Chastain, 5 races at Watkins Glen, 0 top 10s. Austin Cindric at 2 races, 0 top 10s. Ross Chastain, I just read him, didn't I? Who's the other one? Oh, Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney's up there, 3 top 10s, last 7 races. Kyle Busch, 6 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and a win. You have me, Kyle Busch, in Group D, with a resurgence that he's been the number 1 point getter the last 7 races as a whole. I love Kyle Busch at 270. Even though it's tightly packed, I think this is a mismatch. Looking at the stats at this race course, I think Kyle Busch by a long shot.
Well, I can certainly see that. I mean, if you look at Kyle Busch's history, that what he's done at Watkins Glen, yes, he probably should be the favorite in this group. And I think in addition to that, you look at the way Kyle Busch has run the last several weeks. I mean, he's gone, second. He had an 8th last week, but let's face it, he ran much better than 8th last week at Atlanta. I mean, he really did have a strong run, and of course that late caution kind of screwed him up. So I can certainly see where you're coming from there on Kyle Busch. Blaney, Chastain, and Cindric. Cindric won a lot of road course races, both when he was in Xfinity Series and in his sports car racing days. And Chastain and Blaney have road course wins in NASCAR, but like we said, Watkins Glen's a little bit of a different animal. So I can go along with you on the Kyle Busch thing here. But I also see why I think this group is tightly bunched up. So it doesn't come as that big of a surprise. All right, let's look along at Group E, and it is tightly bunched just like Group D was. Our Group E, we got Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski both at plus 265. Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar at plus 270.
Right here, Brad Keselowski, I just said earlier that he's got 0 top 10s in the last 10 road course races as a whole. Chase Briscoe has 2. So I can't dislike that. Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar, not enough data points to give, anything on them. Brad Keselowski, though, 10 races at Watkins Glen, 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. Tough to go against Brad in this group when I'm looking at, trying to find Chase Briscoe. 3 races, 1 top 10, average finish 23rd. I really like at 265. It's a good number for Brad. I can't dislike that.
Well, I think I kind of look at this group here and I see Zane Smith and I see Carson Hocevar, and I'm like, I don't really see them as being a factor in this. So at least I do believe, in my mind, this is almost like a driver head-to-head, but it's in a group with Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski. So I think it's kind of like it comes down to those two. Which one do you like better? You like Brad Keselowski? You like Briscoe? I can go either way.
I'm with Brad. I'm Team Brad. Wyatt, in honor of Wyatt, I am Team Brad.
There you go. All right, we'll be back. We'll give you our final group. We'll give you our picks.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Welcome back into our final segment of Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley sitting here in the South Point Hotel studios here in lovely Las Vegas. Brendan Gaughan joining us remotely this week from Ensenada, getting ready to run the Baja 400 this week, enjoying the beautiful beaches of Mexico down there. You spend any time at the beach, or do you just spend your whole time in that hotel room or working on that racing buggy?
We drive on the beach. Does that count?
Kind of, sort of. Right?
We got the beach section in Arendira. We drive on the beach. So
you're not hanging out there with a city light shine with an umbrella in it or anything. No.
Stop to take lunch. Sit on the beach, have lunch while you're pre-running one day. Okay. Got a nice view for it.
At least you can take some nice pictures while you're down there. So that'll be good. All right, we're on our final segment here, and we're on our final group matchup of this weekend's race. And what are we, the Go Bowling at the Glen this week? That's been the Bud at the Glen, and it was a Frontier at the Glen. Now we're Bowling at the Glen. Kind of clever names, I guess, that they come up with those there, the bowling. But anyway, okay, I digress. We move on to Group F. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Bubba Wallace are our co-favorites at plus 260. Austin Dillon and Noah Gragson come in at plus 275.
This is a tough one. I mean, Bubba, one top 10 in the last 10 races, road course, and probably the best of all those. Austin Dillon won also. These guys are so evenly matched. Stenhouse Jr., I'm looking down here, 2 top 10s. All their averages are 20.2, 21.9, 21.6. They're all right there. Very difficult to handicap this one. I got 2 groups with an X this week, and normally we love Group F, but I got nothing for it this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. The numbers are so close together. There's nobody that really stands out. I mean, I guess if I lean one way or the other, I'll probably lean Bubba just a little bit because he's gotten more comfortable on these road courses.
Been running bet really good lately, so I don't dislike that.
Noah was solid on road courses in the Xfinity Series. Haven't really seen that so much in the Cup Series. So I'm with you. I think I'm going to completely stay away from Group F. All right, our last lines we've got of the day are manufacturer props. And if you want to make money, don't necessarily bet on Chevrolet. Chevrolet is an overwhelming favorite, especially, we know in Group A, all 4 drivers in Group A, Byron, Elliott, Larson, and Van Gisbergen, all Chevrolet drivers. The Chevy is a minus 145 in our manufacturer prop. Toyota, you're getting Tyler Reddick, and you're getting Truex, you're getting Hamlin, and you're getting some Christopher Bell. They're coming in at a plus 220. And then Ford, who really doesn't have a strong road course guy out there, coming in at a plus 400.
Yeah, McDowell might be the guy that we haven't talked much about, but he's probably their strongest, one. Austin Cindric we've talked about. Blaney, Logano, don't think I see much out of that. I don't dislike the plus 220 on Toyota. That's a good return on the the 3-man horse race. So and you got Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex, even though I've been poo-pooing most of the show. Ty Gibbs, who I'm high on. So I don't dislike the Toyota bet, but Chevrolet absolutely the favorite for a reason.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, and I really don't like to bet minus 145 favorites. I mean, I know people say cashes tickets anyway, but
it makes me make you do math. I could do it just to make you do math.
Well, that's because you are thinking that they're going. Actually, yeah, I can subtract 145 easily from your score if they don't win. So, okay,
you only subtract 1 if they don't win. By the way.
Well, then do you get?
Only 1 year.
Oh, you only get 0.55 for winning that bet. Then. Well, the 1.5.
And this is for those that watch the more betting astute shows at the South Point Studio. That is our commissioner Jeff Motley figuring out how you do a math.
Well, I just
145.
I just thought if you took the minus 145, I was just going to ding you more than 1 unit just to make you
just upset you.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
I was just really doing it to antagonize
just
you.
for aggravation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You're used to that from me by now. So. Okay, let's get into a little bit of our championship odds right now. I noticed that we now have the field, which is only 1 driver. Again, Harrison Burton is at 500 to 1 instead of 20 to 1 like he was last week. I
went back there last week and told him to kill the field, just call it Harrison Burton. Well, at least they changed the odd to 500 to 1. But they could just say Harrison Burton. It would make life easier. But whatever.
So we can run through these real quick because we got a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
Bell is the favorite right now, plus 400. Denny Hamlin's 450. Kyle Larson's 500. Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney 600. Byron and Elliott 800. Joey Logano 14 to 1. Keselowski's 25. Gibbs and Truex are 35. Bowman's 40. Suarez and Cindric at 100 to 1. Briscoe 200 to 1. And Harrison Burton is 500 to 1. And the only one that just jumps out at me is Kyle Larson's plus 500. Giddy up. Giddy up.
Going, that's the best number you've had on him since the preseason. I think Kyle Larson at 500 is actually a value right there. Even Tyler Reddick is a value. And Joey Logano screams value to me right now. 14 to 1. Only guy locked into the second round. Love that Joey Logano 14 to 1.
No, I totally.
Great hedge bet.
Yeah, those are good numbers, and I think there's some opportunities right now. And normally we get this far into the season, and there's really not. You don't really look at the championship odds and say there's somebody to jump on. But to me, Kyle Larson right now at plus 500, I might have to make a stop over here before I leave.
It's a good one.
Go over to the Oyster Bar and have a shrimp cocktail or something today. So
let's talk about the picks. Hold on.
Well,
ready to talk about the picks, Jeff?
No, can we?
For those at SiriusXM, you can't see it.
Can we skip that segment?
There it is.
And there's the fireworks. And it looks like the 4th of July behind Brendan right now with the fireworks going off on the YouTube channel. So
here, we'll talk about your score. You first. How'd you do?
Well, there's not much to talk about. I did not do very well. I feel pretty good about Byron to win there when he was winning with about 40 laps to go. That did not work out. Of course, had Ryan Blaney in Group A. That did not work out very well for me either, given the fact that he finished 3rd in the race. Bubba Wallace was actually winning his head-to-head against Cindric until he got wrecked on the last lap of the race. So a rough week for me, as well as the pit crew. Pit crew did not get any, but we'll give you kudos, Brendan. You took the Kyle Busch head-to-head with Brad Keselowski. It was an even money bet, but you were able to get the win there. And then the Daniel Suarez in Group F, you didn't even really have to sweat that one out at all. He came in, paid off a plus 250 for you there. So you are kicking it.
Do you notice, Jeff, the two that I lost were the same two that you had with me?
Yeah, that's what you get for picking the same ones that I picked. I thought you were going to stop picking the same ones.
The moosh. You're the moosh.
Hey, I picked first. So can't call me the moosh when I'm the one that picked first and you copied me. See, I would think when you hear my picks, you would never take the same picks that I do. But hey,
I try not to.
One of these days you'll learn your lesson. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into our picks for this week. Shall we? And the good thing is,
Pit Crew is first. You're not last.
I get to read the Pit Crew 2 weeks in a row now. I get to read the Pit Crew. Of course, that's because we both went 0-5, so there was no gaining on anybody. They have two head-to-heads. AJ, and they're loving AJ Allmendinger this week. They've got AJ Allmendinger at plus 135 over Tyler Reddick, and AJ Allmendinger at plus 120 over Christopher Bell. They're going to take two top three picks. They're going with Martin Truex Jr. at plus 450 for a top three, and Denny Hamlin for a plus 650. And they have one group pick, and I think it's a group pick that you're going to like. They're going with Kyle Busch in Group D. I know you were talking him up.
They're high on Allmendinger. They're hoping that Allmendinger shows back up. That's a lot of cheddar to put out on Dinger right there. And is he worth it? Absolutely. You just got to hope the right one shows up.
No, you're exactly right. Okay, time for my picks. And yes, I'm like, it's one unit. What the heck? I'm going for it. Brad Keselowski, 100-1 to win. I'm putting one unit on it. And you know what? If Brad Keselowski is leading with about 10 to go, you're going to be a nervous guy. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to be very nervous.
The only time Brad Keselowski had a good finish there was when he raced Marcus Ambrose and lost. So good luck to you.
I'm also going to take a top three and a little bit of a flyer here. And I know he doesn't have a great record at Watkins Glen, but he's had some good runs on road courses. Ryan Blaney at 12-1. Like Ryan Blaney's 12-1. I'm going to go with one driver head-to-head. That is Chase Elliott at plus 105 over Shane Van Gisbergen. And then my other two picks are going to be in the group matchups. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson to win Group A. And I'm also going to go with Denny Hamlin at plus 335 in Group C, although it seems like every time I pick Denny in a group, he screws me.
Well, and now I'm bummed I have a couple that are the same as you. I might have to make some changes before I read mine just because, I don't want to be on the moosh. I'm going to start first, though. Chase over SVG. I think that Chase Elliott, is just too good here. And you give me a plus 105 to a guy that doesn't run every week yet in the Cup Series and not a track that is as fine-tuned as what I think it needs to be for him to have that big advantage. I like that. I had another head-to-head pick, but I talked myself out of it, so I'm not doing another head-to-head. I'm going to do three groups. I got Denny in Group C. I put my money where my mouth is. You got Denny Hamlin, Group C. The guys he's up against, I can't just leave that hanging out there. I am doing the Kyle Busch. That was kind of my lock, Group D. I do love the Kyle Busch bet right there, 270. And then I'm going to take the Brad K in Group E, not to win the race at 100-1, but I'll take Brad K at plus 265 in that group. I like it. And then I'm going to jump on the Toyota to win bandwagon, plus 220. I think that's with the guys they have in their stable, I think that it gives it a decent shot for a plus 220. So I'll head that direction. And I was going to go Ty over Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs over Tyler Reddick, but I changed my mind and went to the Toyota pick.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I was very, very tempted to want to take the Toyota pick, and then I decided, I don't know why. 100-1. Hey, look, here's the deal. I lost all 5 bets last week on much better odds. So it's only one bet. And if I get it right, that's a huge return. It's kind of like our old buddy Wyatt betting Harrison Burton to win that race at Daytona.
I'd take Kyle Busch 40-1 way before I'd take 100 on him, but
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, we got about a minute left in our show, Brendan. Kind of tell us about your race. I mean, how are you guys going to do down there this week?
Oh, we're excited to be, look, we love my Baja. I love my Mexico. I love NASCAR. It was great to me, but this is what I was excited to retire. I love coming down here. And like I said, we got the Star Stream going for the Class 1 car. So follow me at Brendan62. I'll put a link out there so you can follow along in the race car the whole day and cheer on the 162 for the race. And we're going to have a fun day, man. It's Mexico. It's my favorite place to be. and can't wait to talk to you next week. How we did on the show.
Yeah, well, looking forward to this week seeing the NASCAR race too at Watkins Glen. I think that's typically a pretty fun race. I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities that you can pass on that track. Did you enjoy racing at Watkins Glen?
Loved it, and we had it before the runoff was there. Really loved it.
Yeah, it's a great place. I know the NASCAR teams love going up there.
Want the boot though? Still want the boot.
Yeah,
bring back the boot.
A little bit different having Watkins Glen in the playoffs. So, well, that'll do it for us this week on Gaughan Racing from Brendan down in Mexico. I'm sitting here in the studio. We'll be back next week. We'll break down everything Watkins Glen, and we'll talk to you about Bristol, the last round of the first round.